Well, good morning. This is Ian R. Crane with the live update from Kirby Misperton on the morning of Friday 13th of October 2017. I'm standing behind the rig here at Kirby Misperton. The rig went up a couple of days ago, and last night it was lit up like the proverbial Christmas tree. So I guess for at least at the moment, Kirby Misperton has its own additional attraction. Although it's competing here with Flamingo Land, and I know which of the two I'd probably prefer to be taking my kids to. Although, would you really want to come to Flamingo Land? Would you really want to come to North Yorkshire as a tourist destination once this area is littered with frack pads? And once that you couldn't actually have any confidence in the quality of the water that you're drinking, or the air that you're breathing, or even the quality of the soil that you're walking on if you cross these footpaths on this field. So this is very much a seminal moment in the unfolding unconventional gas saga in the UK. Of course, we have only one political party that is behind this agenda, and I'm not even convinced that Theresa May wants to pursue this agenda. My sense is that Theresa May would really like to see the back of this. It's not her agenda. It's an agenda that she's inherited from Cameron and Osborne. And of course, Osborne very much behind this. And of course, his father-in-law, who I quoted yesterday, Lord Howe, as being the originator of the massive faux pas, where he said, let's not frack in the south, let's frack in the desolate northeast and desolate northwest, and well, let's just frack across the whole of the north of the country because nobody lives there. Well, of course, that just goes to show how far some of the politicians based in London have actually travelled. Most of them think that they need a passport to get beyond Watford Gap. And certainly they have no affinity with this beautiful landscape here. So I've come away from the rig here because the noise of the guys working, the hammering, is a little bit of a distraction. And I'm told that when they're testing the rig motor, as you heard yesterday, from about 13 minutes into yesterday's live stream, the screeching of the rig motor is like running fingers down a blackboard, which for an area that has very little, if any, light pollution, very little, if any, noise pollution, and now it's got this eyesore and earsore in the heart of it. Well, as I mentioned yesterday, I am actually going to have to leave Kirby Misperton for a little while because although it's a rather inconvenient timing, but my daughter did actually plan her wedding some 18 months ago. And, being her father's daughter, she's not getting married just down the road. She's getting married in the Southern Hemisphere. So, obviously, I'm not just going to be going down there for a weekend. So, I'm going to ask a massive favour. I've been on this case now for 5 years. In 2013, I kicked off with, immediately after the moratorium was lifted, with a 63-day tour of the country. And others have also been working, obviously, to spread the word. And we've had the Borkham campaign, the Barton Moss campaign, Crawberry Hill. There have been other efforts at, West Newton, in Cheshire, and in Nottinghamshire. And this is still likely to be the first frack, potentially, in the UK since the moratorium was lifted in 2012. And since Quadrilla screwed up by fracking into a fault because they were using outdated geological data, triggering the seismic events of 2011. So obviously, in my heart, I'd very much like to be here, but obviously I have to be at my daughter's wedding. I mean, it's really, unfortunately, a no-brainer. Family has to come first. So having given up pretty much the last 5 years to this, I'm now asking for your support. And if any time over the next few weeks you're able to come up to Kirby Misperton and lend your support to the wonderful community here who are distraught that this should literally manifest on their back doorstep. So I know there's a gentleman, a musician, who's driven up from the Isle of Wight yesterday, and he's chosen not to camp, so he's booked a bed and breakfast in Scarborough, which is about 20 odd miles away. So you could always combine a visit to Kirby Misperton with you know, sampling the other delights that North Yorkshire has to offer. This weekend is I think a World War II memorabilia weekend on the North Yorkshire Railway. So if you're into railways, there's the steam railway here that runs up to Whitby. So at the moment, you know, there's a lot of other attractions here, but take the opportunity to come down to Kirby Misperton and witness for yourself this blot on the landscape, and speak to the local people who've done their research. Speak to the people at the Kirby Misperton Protection Camp or down at the gate who understand that this first well could potentially lead to a raft of frack sites right across the north of England, making, you know, the north of England effectively like the areas in Pennsylvania, in Colorado, in Ohio, in Louisiana, and right across West Texas, that are basically uninhabitable unless you want to go back to struggling for good quality water. But of course Nestle will come to your rescue because they'll sell you the water at an outrageous premium. So this is a seminal moment, and it would be absolutely amazing if on the odd occasion that I get to tap in to see what's going on here at Kirby Misperton, I'm able to see there are literally hundreds of people at the gates here showing their displeasure and their concern at what the British government are looking to do right across the north of England. And as I said, it's a minority government. They are the only political party that is pushing this agenda. The moment that Theresa May or Boris or Michael Gove or whomever is in number 10 at the next election, the moment that they are out of office, then this is a dead duck. But let me tell you what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is ramrod this industry into the north of England so that by the time there's another election, there's too much pressure on Jeremy Corbyn or whomever it is that is in number 10 at that point. There's too much pressure on them to pull the plug. So it's really crucial that the British public expresses its concern in the only way that's remaining, because everything else has been tried. All due democratic process, all due process through the courts, the judicial review, all of these have been tried, and democracy has been ridden roughshod over. And this at least, excuse me, this at least is helping people to see that the veneer of democracy is actually extremely thin. And once you scratch beneath the surface, what you actually see is an emerging fascist state. And as I said yesterday, I know that's a very, very emotive term, but the definition of fascism is government by corporation. And that's exactly what's occurring here. It is the corporations looking to dictate government policy without regard for the will of the people. Now, fortunately, a couple of weeks ago, we saw the SNP in Scotland respond to the will of the people and effectively put an indefinite moratorium on the unconventional gas exploitation process. And although a moratorium is not my preferred option, because that just leaves the door open some way down the road, what we really need to see is an outright ban. But that's only going to come about if there are sufficient people in this heart of the Tory land here. I mean, the joke in this area is that you could put a stuffed monkey up with a blue rosette on him and he would get elected. That's how ingrained the loyalty to the Tory party is. And that's what they're taking advantage of. Basically, let me use a technical term, they're taking the piss. They are absolutely taking the piss out of Tory voters by putting this in your backyard because they think, oh, well, our government wouldn't do anything to harm us. Well, take a look at this. So, next few weeks, if you can schedule a visit, if you're anywhere in the vicinity, please come for at least, half a day or so. But if you're further afield, even if you come up for an hour or a couple of hours, it all helps. A couple of days ago when the one of the local Labour Party groups came down, was well over 100 people here. And if there was 200 or 300, it would change the whole dynamic. And of course, that would build, because everyone that does come here then tells other people about their experience, because in most cases the experience is very, very positive. This is people coming together in the UK like never before. Probably, certainly not since maybe the advent of Maggie Thatcher's poll tax. So please put that in your diary. Really make that effort. Now, if you can't come, or even if you can come, the camp has various costs, running costs. And on the Kirby Misperton Facebook page, at the top of the page there, I think it's the pinned post, there is a link to the camp to the camp PayPal account. So if you could make a donation, however small, every donation helps towards the general running costs of the camp. And obviously, numbers are increasing as people come from further afield to express their concern about this. And if you're interested in seeing what is possible, then the inimitable Nana Lock-On, Louise Hammond, is going to be run a non-violent direct action workshop this Sunday at the Kirby Misperton Protection Camp, and that's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you're interested in coming along, then just let somebody know on the Facebook page, the Kirby Misperton Camp Facebook page, or just turn up. Because however many people turn up, then we'll find the space and we can show you what's possible. Because nobody has to ask anybody's permission to do a direct action, a peaceful, non-violent direct action. We just need your creativity and, of course, your commitment. So, in many ways, it's very sad for me to be leaving Kirby Misperton at this time. But as you can imagine, I am absolutely delighted to be attending my daughter's wedding, and fortunately she's getting married to a lovely guy, and obviously I wish them great happiness. But the great sadness is that my daughter clearly sees what is going on in this country, and she qualified as a midwife some 18 months ago now, and has been working at the Royal Berkshire Hospital. And sadly, she sees what is happening with the NHS. So, it is with some sadness, obviously, that, I know that once my daughter is married, then she's going to be working on her plans to emigrate out of this country, because she can see that this country is literally leaving nothing for the youth today except lives of absolute abject slavery. So this perhaps in some ways is a gift, because the unconventional gas industry, the fracking agenda, is actually bringing people together like nothing before, and people are starting to, as I've said, see through that veneer. So come down here, have a chat with the people, and who knows, your visit here might be the first day of the rest of your life, which might actually be very different and very much more rewarding than you could even begin to imagine. So thanks for joining me the last couple of days. Obviously the live streams will continue. They'll continue at 8:30 every weekday morning. They will normally be put out on the Kirby Misperton Protection Camp Facebook page. So if you're not actually signed up to that page, then please go along and do so. And I might sort of dip in every now and again, but from hopefully somewhat warmer climes. Winter is starting to creep in. Yesterday was the first day I actually had to put some gloves on, obviously, since last winter. So the weather's starting to close in, but if Third Energy think that that's going to be to their advantage, then I hope to goodness that that is certainly not the case. So I will see you back here in North Yorkshire in a few weeks, but in the meantime, please do whatever you feel you can do to come and support this community here at Kirby Misperton in North Yorkshire. And of course, if you're the other side, the Pennines, then please go along to Preston New Road. And I was delighted to see that this morning there is a Friday the 13th lock-on at Preston New Road. So that campaign has been running now for I think 10 months, and you know, it is still rolling. Quadrilla have still not finished the drilling of the well at Preston Road. They are way behind schedule, and that of course gives us even more opportunity to kick the can down the road until such time as Theresa May realises that if she wants to regain any trust from people in her traditional constituencies around the country, then she needs to pull the plug on this abomination. So thanks a lot. I'll catch you in a few weeks.